Good morning, and thank you everyone for your very interesting presentations. Our project is a bit different because it's in the field of social sciences. So we are interested in modeling what happens in people's mind when they are reading political information online and specifically on social media. So we will follow the same structure as everyone, some background information, and then explaining the model, the simulation, and some conclusions and discussion. So we started considering the concept of information cocoon, and this is the definition that we put there. So basically, it's a universe where you only hear what you choose and what you already agree with. So it already existed like before social media. You may not choose your family, but you choose your friends, you choose the newspapers you read, you choose the channels you follow. And there you will see the information that you want to see and that you already agree with. And this phenomenon is exacerbated by social media because not only you choose to follow some people, but also the algorithm in there, because they are personalized based on what you like, they will show you more of this content, and little by little, you will be cut off the opposition views. So there is a lot of research about homophily on Twitter, and we also focused on Twitter because it's a social media where this homophily is the most obvious. And so there are lots of research talking about why this may be worrying or a problem for democracy because of political polarization and more extremism comment. And for example, Twitter did their own research and they found that the far-right content got more amplification than the left content. But this is like for the background information, and what we will focus on is what happens once you got the content. So the algorithm, or you would choose to see something, and then you will process this information based on your political orientation, on your background knowledge on a specific topic, and other parameters. So it's very much a work in progress. It was a bit hard to choose the parameters that we wanted to include, but that, in a nutshell, what we wanted to do. And so that's the basis of the network model.
Yeah, first, the X1 and X2 represent the two context states, which X1 is the connection between individuals, like, and X2 represents the incoming information value, which would be an interval, like maybe from 0 to 1, the value is lower means like the person is more left, and if the value is high, the person like political orientation will be more right. And X7 is the bias. It represents that between social connections, individuals would choose to like individuals who have stronger connections, like their opinion would affect more than those who have less connections. And X3 means the background knowledge. So X1, X3 together means the biases. Which means if the opinions comes from a person who have stronger connection to you, his opinion would matter much, like would have a strong influence. Yeah, the X4 is the biased information, which means you receive the information is not 100% original when someone expresses his opinion to you. And X5 is the current understanding of other people's opinion, which would be affected by the background knowledge of your own. In our hypothesis is before you actually receive the information, you already knows your intention of how you view the this like current understanding of the problem. And X8 is the acceptance rate, which means how you will accept the opinion. If the opinion is very far from you, like there will be 3 categories: acceptance, no comments, and rejection. So if the opinion is already close to you, it will have a more positive effects on your background knowledge, which means this current understanding of the opinion would have the more influence on your background knowledge, which you tend to agree. No comments means no change. Rejection means you want to take this current understanding at all. And X9 used to represent emotional state, which would be a leaky neuron model. It would be stimulated by the current understanding, which is controlled by the acceptance rate, and it will suppress itself, which means represents your emotion will decrease as time goes by. Yeah, which the emotion would have effect how strong your background knowledge influence the current understanding. It represents like emotional or rational. And finally, like the current understanding would lead to the action state, which would influence other individuals on a bigger network, like output your opinion and update the connection between individuals. So if you agree with others, you tend to have like stronger connection. And if you disagree with them, your connection becomes like loser. So yeah, next.
So I'll talk about the simulations that we were working on. They're a bit of a work in progress. As we mentioned, it's very difficult to model this. So I've included an artist's rendition on the right side of what we kind of expect and would hope to happen as we keep working on this. But I'll draw your attention to some key points that I want to highlight. Can I see the mouse?
Yeah, it's supposed to be there. Yeah.
Okay, if you can see the mouse cursor, yes, you can. Cool. So I'll point out first, there's this red kind of jagged line here. This is X2, or the incoming information, and we kind of, it's basically a random string of numbers to represent different articles or tweets a person is reading with different opinions on the subject. So again, if it's higher, maybe it's more right-wing, or maybe it agrees with a certain topic. That can kind of represent different things. That's kind of one of the things we focus on. And then the other two, I think, most interesting parts to look at are X5, which is the current understanding of the situation, or another way to think of it is the person's opinion on the situation. And the other one is X8, which is the acceptance rate. So if you look on the right side, let me move this, you can see kind of what we would expect to happen, which is, so I'll start with X5. So your opinion of the situation might get adjusted as you read some articles, but after a certain amount of time, it starts to hone in on one spot as you only hear information you agree with, and you only listen to information you agree with. And similar to that, we have the acceptance rate, which is this blue line right here. And you can see at the start, maybe you'll be less accepting of articles that you really don't agree with, but you'll still consider them. But as we kind of go later in time, it becomes a little more extreme of whether or not you accept something. Maybe at the start, you might be willing to hear someone out if they agree with you slightly, but disagree partly. Whereas after some more time of hearing things you agree with, you would only agree if they're really aligned with your opinions. So in this actual simulations we ran, you can see that some of the lines are similar. So the light blue acceptance rate, it's not exactly what we wanted, but it does follow the information flow a bit. And also this purple line is the filtered information or the biased information. It's sort of a rounded version of the incoming information, which is essentially what we want it to represent, because that's the information. Like your imagining or your understanding when you read after it's gone through kind of your biases and your background knowledge. So you can see the current opinion isn't working exactly how we want to, and neither is the yellow line, the background knowledge. For some reason, I don't know why it kind of just drops off immediately. So there's still some tweaking we have to do with this, but hopefully we can get it working soon. And yes.
So aware of the limitations of our model right now, there are also other parameters that could be taken into account. Like specifically, this is based on one user or one individual, but this person would already be the result of like so many different people. And then inside this model, you could also include intergroup interactions and the relationships that you have with the people surrounding you, like your family or your friends, depending on whether they agree with you or whether they are from the same political party. There are also a lot of research on individuals' characteristics and how sensitive they would be to like this homophily phenomenon on social media. And there are so many more biases that we could take into account. And also it depends on social media networks. So there has been research on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, like it's very different from each other. So yeah, there is still a lot to consider. Thank you for your attention.